I met a guy at Disney. They were 180 grand in consumer debts, and they told me they were dropping $1,000 a day to be there for a week. This person who's in crippling debt going, I just want to go on a trip. I need a vacation from the reality of my life, which is crippling.
Let me tell you something. I have no magic in my eyes. I have no money in my pockets because I did not know that I was going to have to spend this much money in order to see the magic.
Yes, accepting to pay off debt every day just to travel for 3 days. You heard it right. Welcome to the year 2026, where family vacations are becoming the financial burden of the American middle class. Look, nearly half of the parents are willing to go into debt just to buy a few days of magic, while the majority of the rest don't even have any savings. Why can a wealthy country turn a children's outing into long-term debt? If you're wondering why a vacation can push the middle class to the brink of financial crisis, the answer lies right in this video. I will uncover with you the crazy price hike strategy, Disney's nostalgia manipulation magic, and the truth behind the youth's apocalyptic spending spree trend. Let's find out together right now.
Since the internet's already mad at me, I figured now would be a good time to tell you guys that I went into debt to pay for my upcoming Disney trip. I booked this trip way back in January, and I fully intended to pay it every paycheck until the balance was paid off.
Yes, you heard it right. She really decided to take out a loan to go to Disney. And she's not the only one doing that. Some people are even optimistic to that extent. Hey, once you step into the Disney bubble, forget about being poor. The money issue can be dealt with when we get home. It sounds very poetic, very much about enjoying life, doesn't it? But from the perspective of behavioral economics, this is a phenomenon of consumer rationalization at a red alert level. But that's not all. I'll show you more.
I just booked a trip to Disneyland, even though I'm paying off $41,000 worth of debt. This is my third time going this year to a Disney.
Do you see the absurdity here? Bad debts are still there. Yet today they casually swiped their card to go see Mickey Mouse. And this friend of mine...
My friends are starting to ask how we afford Disney so often, right? Listen, we don't. I am in a staggering amount of debt. That's why I use Disney math, which is basically algebra done emotionally instead of correctly.
Wait a minute. If you find these stories both funny and absurd to the point of being speechless, then hit the like button and subscribe to the channel right away. This is completely free, unlike a ticket to Disney, but it will help the algorithm bring these real financial analyses to more people. Now, let's take the shock level to a whole new height. A girl shared that her family is burdened with a disastrous consumer debt of $210,000. That's right, you heard it correctly, $210,000 US. However, she still decided to spend an additional $1,000 to take her family to Disney for 2 days. What is her argument? Anyway, $1,000 compared to a pile of $210,000 in continuously accruing debt is nothing. It doesn't make the situation any worse. Then she shrugged lightly. You see, this is a complete collapse in the mindset of personal financial management. In psychology, when a debt exceeds a person's ability to pay, the brain activates a defense mechanism by giving up. People start telling themselves, if the cow is lost, why regret the rope? But what about the reality? That $1,000 may not reduce the $210,000 debt, but it is precisely why your future is pinned down in a cycle of exhaustion. To pay off the suffocating $1,000 credit card bill today, future workers will have to sign up for DoorDash, Spark Delivery, or take on extra night shifts. They have to sell their future labor just to pay for a few hours of their current enjoyment. It turns life into a hamster wheel. You run yourself to the bone, doing all sorts of menial jobs just to make up for the impulsive spending decisions from a few months ago. At this point, many of you from the wealthy class might say, oh, those people are in debt because they are poor and still try, but I have money. If I buy the premium package, it should be different. Right. So, let me invite you to break down the most luxurious service package at the park. The VIP tour priced at $4,000, or hourly rates ranging from $450 to $900 PER hour, with a mandatory minimum rental of 7 hours. At first glance, it seems like you will be treated like a king, right? Now, read the terms carefully to see what that $4,000 buys you. You have a guide accompanying you. You get to go through the lightning lane so you don't have to wait in line. But this is the expensive part. That $4,000 does not include the entrance fee to the park. You still have to pay an additional to $200 per person to get through the gate. That amount does not include food and drinks. You still have to dig into your own pocket to buy each plate of rice, each glass of water, and it also does not give you any backstage privileges because that area is reserved for Hollywood superstars. So what is the only gift you get from the $4,000 package? A small bottle of hand sanitizer, a lip balm, a badge, and a few free bottles of water. In other words, you just spent $4,000 to receive a bottle of gold-plated hand sanitizer and the privilege of not having to see the poor waiting in line? The real magic of Disney doesn't lie in the fairy godmother's wand, folks, but in the ability to make thousands of dollars vanish from your account with just a snap of the fingers. So the question arises, what has transformed an amusement park originally founded with a populist philosophy, meant for all working families, into a ruthless money-making machine that deeply stratifies society as it is today? To understand the nature of this crisis, we must go back in time to 1955 to see how corporate greed has gradually obscured Walt Disney's original vision. Let's move on. Well, just now, we laughed or maybe cried at the crazy spending stories of tourists, but to truly understand why the American middle class is in such dire straits, we must set aside the sensational emotions and look directly at the stark financial numbers. Because numbers never lie. Let's look at the actual numbers. If in 2015, a peak day ticket to Magic Kingdom cost $105, by 2026, that number had reached $209, meaning a 100% increase, doubling in just 11 years. The highest tier annual pass is even more staggering. It increased from $829 to over $1,600, an 81% increase. Meanwhile, the cumulative inflation rate of the U.S. economy during the same period was only around 36%. What does this mean? Disney ticket prices have skyrocketed at a rate double that of inflation across the entire United States. And if we calculate from the day the first park opened until now, the total increase has reached 500%. And here is the most shocking detail I want to share with you. If you do a cost analysis for a family of 4 in the U.S., the all-inclusive cost for a week flying all the way to Japan, including accommodation, meals, and entertainment at Tokyo Disneyland, turns out to be significantly cheaper than booking a vacation at Disney Resort right in the U.S. Sounds unbelievable, right? But that's 100% true. A domestic entertainment corporation is charging the local people more than an overseas trip. So, how do they squeeze every last penny from tourists while people still keep swiping their cards? The answer lies in the strategy: commercializing inconvenience. Under the leadership of Bob Iger and the modern management team, Disney has carried out a sophisticated extraction revolution. Do you remember the legendary FastPass system? Since 1999, this has been a completely free service that allows all visitors to book a time in advance to avoid queuing. Then Disney mercilessly killed it. They replaced FastPass with the paid Lightning Lane service, making you shell out an extra $15 to $50 per person per day, and recently introduced the Lightning Lane Premier Pass with a staggering price: over $400 for one person in one day. Want to avoid queuing in the 40-degree heat? Pay up! That's not all. The Disney's Magical Express bus service, which provided free transportation from the airport to the hotel and was once a symbol of hospitality, was also canceled in 2022. Instead, you have to pay about $32 per person for a private bus, or spend $400 if you want to rent a private round-trip car. Not to mention the dynamic pricing policy: the busier the day, the higher the ticket prices will automatically go up. Take a look at this leaked data. Just from selling Lightning Lane access tickets, Disney has raked in $724 million USD in less than 3 years. The Disney Experiences segment currently only accounts for 46% of total revenue, but it contributes nearly 70% of the total operating profit for the entire corporation. They no longer make movies to sell park tickets. They have turned the parks into money printing machines to support the entire corporation. If these in-depth analyses and financial breakdowns give you a completely new perspective, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel right away. Your small interactions are the biggest motivation for me to create more high-quality socioeconomic analysis videos like this. But do you know what the most bitter loss in this money printing machine is? That is the complete philosophical degradation. Let's rewind to the 17th of July, 1955. Walt Disney opened the first Disneyland park in California. The reason he did it was very simple. He was too upset taking his children to dirty, expensive, and discriminatory fairs. Walt dreamed of a place where every American family could go and enjoy. To achieve that, what did he set the opening ticket price at in 1,955? Exactly $1 for adults, equivalent to about $12 today, and 50 cents for children, about $6 today. Even the parking fee was firmly kept at 25 cents for many years. To build the park, Walt Disney had to mortgage his entire life insurance policy, taking on a massive debt of 17 million USD at the time, equivalent to over 200 million USD today. But he left behind a saying that went down in history. Disneyland is a work of love. We did not enter Disneyland with the purpose of making money. He wanted to create a space where a truck driver, a regular factory worker, could bring their children and feel valued like a VIP guest. Now, looking back at 2026, the philosophy of everyone is a VIP has been completely replaced by the mindset. Whoever has more money is the VIP. Disney has shifted from a cultural icon that connected all social classes to a luxury privilege reserved only for the top 10% of the wealthiest. They are not just raising prices. They are turning our childhood nostalgia into a commodity to be auctioned off. And what's noteworthy is that this division doesn't stop at just the ticket or the Mickey bun. This level of wealth disparity is directly creating two completely opposite worlds right within the same park gate. On one side are those who struggle with every penny, and on the other side are those who don't need to look at the price. Now is the time for us to witness how this fierce class division unfolds. To help you clearly envision how fiercely this class division is unfolding, let's delve into two true stories documented in a recent shocking investigative report. Two people, two families, walked through the gates of Disney World at the same time, but lived in two completely separate universes. The first character is Mrs. Scarlett Kressel, a 60-year-old school bus driver. The total income of the two of them is around $80,000 per year, exactly the average household income in the U.S. To take the kids out, Mrs. Kressel spent many years cutting back on expenses, asking for gift cards on every birthday, collecting discounts, and paying for tickets in installments. And what is the reality of her trip? She had to wake up at 5 a.m., wait until exactly 7 a.m. to click the booking app. Due to a tight budget, she chose to travel during Florida's peak heat wave to save a bit on ticket costs. As soon as she entered the gate, her mobility scooter broke down. She had to struggle under the heat of up to 108 degrees Fahrenheit, wasting 3 precious hours just waiting to exchange her scooter. She couldn't afford priority tickets for the hot rides like Star Wars, so she had to take her grandchildren to less crowded attractions like the carousel. After 14 exhausting hours, she returned home after having spent 15% of her total after-tax income for the entire year. Now, let's look at the second character, Sean Conahan, a wealthy tech executive from California. Taking his children out during the new year, the busiest time of the year, Mr. Conahan immediately splurged $7,000 for a 4-day vacation. To avoid waiting in line, he spent an additional $900 on a Lightning Lane Premier Pass without a second thought. The father and son leisurely woke up and casually took the subway to the park at 10 a.m., while thousands of middle-class people like Mrs. Kressel stood in the sun, waiting in line for 85 minutes. Mr. Conahan and his son breezed through a private entrance, taking only 5 minutes to get on the ride. They leisurely had lunch at a fancy restaurant, enjoyed ice cream, and completed up to 16 top games in just 7 hours. His daughter excitedly declared, "This is the best day of my life!" With the same song, When You Wish Upon a Star, playing on the speakers, one side is exhausted, both physically and financially, while the other side leisurely enjoys the fruits of wealth. The philosophy of everyone is a VIP has completely perished under the feet of Visa Unlimited cards. What we have just witnessed is not a coincidence. It is a microcosm of what economists call a K-shaped economy. In this economy, The upward branch represents the top 10% or 5% of the wealthiest individuals, those whose assets have exploded after the pandemic, and who are ready to spend $25,000 in cash for a summer vacation, without a second thought. The downward branch represents the remaining 90%, the middle and lower classes, who are being drained daily by inflation and debt. Large corporations like Disney have realized a harsh reality. The economic model serving the middle class no longer brings in hefty profits as it used to. Now, the big money is at the top of the pyramid. Therefore, their business strategy has shifted from unification to segmentation. What does segmentation mean? It's stepping into the same space, but based on the amount of money in your account, the algorithm and the phone app will show you different prices, push you into different queues, serve you different meals, and put you in different hotels. They openly sell the privilege of skipping the line to the rich and push the inconvenience and waiting onto those with less money. To be honest with you, when I reached this part of the research, I felt very sorry for the middle class. They are the backbone that has created the prosperity of America, but now they are being turned into second-class tourists in their own homeland by the very domestic cultural institutions. If you also feel that this division is becoming increasingly evident in your surroundings, not just at Disney, but every place, then please hit the like button on this video and leave a comment sharing your perspective. Your support helps our channel continue to create in-depth social analysis content like this. However, the most pressing question still lies ahead. If we know that this system is designed to exploit us, why do millions of middle-class families and young Americans still dive in like moths to a flame? The secret lies in a widespread psychosocial disease called doom spending. At this point, many of you from the Gen Z or millennial generation watching this video must be wondering, why are people so foolish that they know they are in debt but still head out on trips swiping their cards? From the outside, it looks like a rash, impulsive behavior. But if you delve into behavioral psychology, you will realize that this is a symptom of a much deeper societal illness: doom spending. Look at these shocking numbers. More than 70% of Gen Z and millennials in the US currently believe that they will never have enough money to buy a house or become wealthy. Even nearly 47% candidly admit that saving money for the future now is completely pointless. Do you feel the deadlock in that? When traditional milestones of adulthood, such as owning a house, accumulating wealth, or preparing for retirement, become out of reach due to skyrocketing housing prices and inflation, how will the human brain react? We fall into a state of resignation. The self-justification mentality appears. Anyway, I'll never be able to buy a house, and the future is bleak, so why bother struggling to save a few $1,000s? And so, doom spending was born. People turned to spending money on short-term pleasures that could be immediately accessed, following idols, buying luxury goods on installment, or swiping credit cards for a broke but magical trip to Disney. They use luxurious experiences to soothe the constant financial anxiety in their minds. That is a short-term psychological defense mechanism, but a long-term financial sentence. But if young people turn to Disney for doom spending, then parents fall into another sophisticated trap: the nostalgia trap and the pressure to create memories. Disney is a master at selling nostalgia. They manipulate the psychology of parents with an implicit message. Your child's childhood only has 18 summers. If you don't take them here, you are robbing them of their magical childhood memories. Many parents are tormented by feelings of guilt if they don't take their children out to play. However, the harsh reality is what? 45% of parents are willing to take on debt to take their children on trips, but they forget that 2 to 3-year-old children have no memory of that expensive trip at all. Many parents bitterly realize that the only thing their child remembers is the hotel pool. Bitterer still, to pay for that trip costing $15,000, $20,000, parents have to work night shifts, take on 2 to 3 extra jobs, and be absent from most family meals. The child wakes up every morning in the absence of their parents and asks, "Why does Dad have to work all the time?" We are trading the genuine presence in our children's daily lives for a few expensive artificial playdays that they will quickly forget. What a child truly needs to grow up happy is not a $400 VIP ticket or a Cinderella Castle model. What they need most is the presence and peace of their parents right in their own home. If you are a young person from the Gen Z, millennials generation, or a parent facing financial pressure. Have you ever found yourself falling into the trap of doom spending or the pressure to create memories with money? Please leave your perspective in the comments. I would love to read your discussions. So, after all those harsh numbers and harsh realities, what is the final question for each of us? How to escape this milking machine and rediscover the true value of life? Let's reach the conclusion of today's video together. After all the harsh numbers and harsh realities we have just dissected, there is a truth we must acknowledge. The true magic of life has never resided in an artificial land created by corporations at the cost of hundreds of dollars each day. The real magic lies in your peaceful presence in the lives of your loved ones. The most beautiful memories of a child are sometimes not Disneyland, but simply the warm, free moments with their parents right at home. Don't let the greed of entertainment corporations or social pressure turn you into a slave of credit debt. Holidays are for relieving stress, not for starting a prolonged financial crisis. What is your opinion on this matter? If you are carrying a debt, would you be willing to spend thousands of dollars on a vacation just for the memories? Please leave your comments below so we can discuss together. If you find this video useful and it provides you with valuable financial and social perspectives, don't forget to like, share, and hit the subscribe button today. Your support is the greatest motivation for me to continue producing even more high-quality analysis videos. The content in this video is compiled and analyzed based on media reports, publicly available economic data, and personal financial perspectives with the aim of providing information, education, and entertainment. The video does not constitute professional, financial, investment, or legal advice. Viewers are kindly advised to consider and take responsibility for their own personal financial decisions. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next videos.